Picture yourself in a smoky hut in a 14th century European village, the scent of coarse bread and simmering herbs filling the air as you prepare a meager meal. As a peasant, your life is a daily struggle against hunger, your diet shaped by the land's yield and the feudal lord's demands. Welcome to a journey through the humble foods that sustained medieval peasants. Gritty bread, hearty pottage, and rare scraps of meat, each bite a testament to resilience in a world of scarcity. This tale uncovers the flavors and struggles of their table, woven with the toil of survival. Share where you're reading from and what time it is. Drop a comment to connect with fellow history enthusiasts. If this story of peasant life captivates you, a like or share keeps these tales alive. Now step into a time where every meal was a victory, and let the simplicity of a peasant's fare guide you through history's quiet corners. The morning light creeps over a 14th century European village, its rays filtering through a patchwork of fields and thatched huts nestled in a valley. It's around 1350, and you awaken on a straw pallet in a cramped wattle and daub home, the air thick with the scent of damp earth, smouldering wood, and the faint musk of livestock sharing your space. Your body aches from yesterday's labour, ploughing fields, tending animals, or hauling water. Yet you rise driven by the ever-present need to eat. As a peasant in medieval Europe, your life is a relentless struggle against hunger, shaped by the land's fickle yield, the season's whims, and the feudal system's unyielding demands. Food is your lifeline, a scarce resource eked out from meager crops, small livestock, and whatever the forest or river might offer. In this world of toil and scarcity, every meal is a hard-won victory, and the act of eating is as much about survival as it is about sustenance. Your hut is a simple structure, its walls woven from branches and plastered with mud, the thatched roof sagging under years of rain. The floor is packed dirt, scattered with rushes that crunch underfoot, matted from weeks of use. A single window, shuttered with wood, lets in slivers of light, barely enough to see the rough outlines of your home. A hearth at the center, its embers glowing faintly. A wooden bench, a few clay pots, and a carved spoon in a corner. You share this space with family, perhaps a spouse, children or aging parents, or fellow labourers, their breaths soft in the dawn's chill. The air carries the smell of straw, smoke, and the faint odour of the cow or chickens kept inside for warmth. Their presence a necessity in the cold months, though their dung adds to the floor's grime. Your possessions are few, a tattered cloak, a knife for work and eating, a sack for grain, each guarded against theft, though there's little worth stealing. You pull on your clothes, coarse and patched, a linen tunic and hose for men, worn thin at the knees. A long woolen kirtle for women, its hem stained from muddy fields. Shoes, if you have them, are leather, their soles thin against the earth's bite, often shared or mended with scraps. The morning is cold, your breath visible as you step to the hearth, stirring embers to coax a flame. The village outside stirs too, a cluster of huts like yours, surrounded by fields of rye, barley and oats, their furrows carved by generations. The manor house looms nearby, its stone walls a reminder of the Lord who claims your labour and a share of your crops. The church's bell tolls, calling the devout to prayer, but your first task is to eat, to fuel the long day ahead. The feudal system binds you to this life, a rigid order that keeps you tethered to the land. You're likely a villain tied to the Lord's estate, working his fields in exchange for a small plot to farm for your family. The Lord takes a portion of your harvest, grain, vegetables, livestock, as rent, leaving you with just enough to survive if the weather holds. The church demands tithes, another tenth of your yield, paid in wheat or a chicken, while the priest preaches that suffering is God's will, his own table never empty. Your days are spent ploughing, sowing or reaping, your back bent under the sun or rain, your hands calloused from the plough's wooden grip. The fields are unforgiving, their yield at the mercy of frost, drought or flood, and famine is a constant threat, its memory sharp from years when the harvest failed, leaving graves filled with those you knew. Food is the heart of this struggle, the thread that ties you to the land and its cycles. Your diet is simple, built on what you can grow, raise or scavenge. The staples are grain, rye, barley or oats, ground into coarse flour for bread or pottage, the backbone of every meal. Vegetables like cabbage, onions or leeks, grown in small garden plots, add bulk to your pot, while herbs like parsley or thyme, plucked from the wild, lend flavour. Livestock, if you're lucky, might include a pig, a few chickens or a cow, but their meat or eggs are rare, often saved for the Lord or sold for coin to pay debts. The forest offers berries, nuts or mushrooms, but foraging is risky. Poaching on the Lord's land can bring a fine or a beating. The river or stream might yield fish, though nets and time are scarce, and water itself is often foul, carrying disease you can't see. Your morning meal is a hurried affair, shared around the hearth's faint warmth. A bowl of pottage, made from barley or oats, thickened with whatever vegetables are at hand. Perhaps a wilted cabbage leaf or a few beans, simmers in a clay pot, its steam a small comfort against the chill. The bread is coarse, its rye or barley flour mixed with chaff, baked hard to last days, its crust tough against your teeth. Ale, weak and cloudy, is safer than water, drawn from a stream tainted by the village's waste. You sip it from a shared wooden cup, its bitter taste familiar, while your children, if you have them, eat first, their small hands clutching the bowl. The meal is meagre, barely enough to quiet the hunger that gnaws at you, a reminder of last year's lean harvest, when the granary stood nearly empty and neighbours buried their own. The village is a small world, its rhythms driven by the need to eat and survive. You step outside, the air sharp with the scent of wet earth, manure, and the faint sweetness of wildflowers crushed underfoot. Neighbours emerge from their huts, John, the miller, grinding flour for a fee, Agnes, weaving cloth by dim light, Thomas, tending pigs that root in the mud. The church bell rings, its sound carrying over the fields where men and women head to work, their tools heavy in their hands. The village green is a patch of worn grass where children play with sticks or chase a ball, their laughter a rare note of joy. But joy is fleeting, life here is short, death a familiar guest. Children succumb to fevers or falls, adults to exhaustion or illness, their graves crowding the churchyard, marked with simple stones, if at all. Health is a fragile balance, threatened by the very food and water you rely on. The stream, vital for drinking and cooking, is often cloudy with waste, carrying fluxes or worms that weaken you. Fleas and lice thrive in your clothes and bedding, their bites a constant irritation, sometimes festering into sores. The livestock in your hut, kept for warmth and food, bring filth, their dung mixing with the rushes underfoot. Disease is a whisper in every cough, every fever, and past plagues, smallpox, dysentery, haunt the village's memory. You've buried kin, a sibling to a chill, a child to a flux, their loss a weight you carry. The village healer, an elder with herbs or charms, offers remedies that soothe more than cure, her bloodletting or poultices as likely to harm as help. The feudal order adds its own burdens, shaping what you eat and how you live. The Lord's bailiff patrols, his ledger tracking your debts, labour owed, crops delivered, fines for baking bread in your own hearth instead of his oven. A missed day in the fields or a stray sheep brings a penalty, paid in grain or coin you can't spare. As a villain, you're bound to the land. Fleeing makes you a fugitive, your family punished in your place. The Lord's justice is harsh, his court deaf to your pleas, and his manor feasts on the fruits of your labour. Roasted meats, fine wheat bread, wine, while you chew gritty rye. The church, too, takes its share. Its tithes a tax on your survival, its sermons a reminder that hunger is God's test, though the priest's cellar is stocked with ale. Social divides run deep, even among the poor. The reeve, a villager chosen to serve the Lord, wields authority, his loyalty bought with a better plot or fewer days of labour. Free men, rare and envied, own their work but still pay taxes. Women bear a heavier load, working fields or hearths, then tending children or spinning wool, their labour dismissed as lesser. Children help young, fetching water or gleaning fields, their small hands rough from work. The elderly, if they survive, are few, their bodies worn, their wisdom valued, but their weakness a strain. The village is a community, but a fragile one. Neighbours share a loaf or a tool, but rivalries flare over a better plot or a lord's favour, trust eroded by the fight to survive. The sensory world is vivid, rooting you in this life of scarcity. The air smells of damp straw, smoke, and the faint sweetness of apples rotting in an orchard you can't touch. The fields are a patchwork of green and brown, their mud clinging to your shoes, their edges sharp with thorns. Sounds fill the morning, the creak of a plough, the bleat of sheep, the blacksmith's hammer striking iron. Your clothes itch, their wool rough, and your hands sting from cuts earned in the fields. Hunger is a constant throb, your stomach twisting, the pottage's warmth a memory by midday. The sky is often grey, rain threatening, the wind chilling your bones. Yet there are moments of beauty, a sunrise gilding the fields, a child's song, the warm scent of baking bread, small sparks that keep you going. Food is the centre of this world, its preparation a daily ritual. The grain you grow, rye, barley, oats, is the foundation, ground into flour by hand or at the Lord's mill, its fee another tax. Bread is baked in a communal oven or your hearth, its crust hard, its interior dense with chaff. Pottage, a staple, simmers for hours, its ingredients. The sun climbs higher over the 14th century European village, its warmth cutting through the morning chill as you step away from your mud brick hut, the faint scent of damp straw and livestock lingering behind you. It's around 1350, and you're a peasant, your life tethered to the land and its meagre offerings. After waking to the harsh realities of feudal life, your focus shifts to the daily task of securing food, the cornerstone of survival in a world where hunger is never far. The fields stretching beyond the village, patched with rye and barley, promise the staples that define your diet: coarse bread, thick pottage, and weak ale. These are the pillars of sustenance, eked out through back-breaking labour and ingenuity, each bite or sip a small victory against starvation. As you head toward the fields or hearth, the air carries the earthy tang of turned soil and the distant aroma of baking bread, grounding you in a life where food is both necessity and struggle. Bread is the heart of your diet, a dense, gritty loaf born from the grains you toil to grow. Rye and barley are the workhorses here. Wheat is for the Lord's table, its fine white flour a luxury you'll never taste. The fields you tend, carved into strips by the feudal system, yield these hardy grains, their stalks swaying under unpredictable skies. Planting begins in autumn, your hands gripping a wooden plough pulled by oxen, the earth resisting as you carve furrows. Spring brings sowing, scattering seeds by hand, each one a hope for survival. Harvest comes in late summer, your sickle flashing through stalks, the work relentless under the sun's glare or sudden rain. The grain is threshed with flails on a barn floor, the chaff flying in clouds that sting your eyes, then winnowed by tossing it into the wind, a task that leaves your arms aching and your throat dry. Grinding the grain is its own labour, often done at the Lord's mill, where you pay a fee, perhaps a tenth of your flour, to use his stones. Some women grind at home with a hand quern, a back-breaking task that takes hours, the stone's rough surface turning rye or barley into coarse flour mixed with bits of grit. The flour is stored in a sack, guarded against rats or damp, its value measured in days of survival. Baking is a communal effort, as few have ovens. You carry your dough to the village's bakehouse, where the Lord's oven glows, its use another tax on your labour. The dough, mixed with water and a pinch of salt if you're lucky, is kneaded on a wooden board, your hands caked with sticky flour. The bread emerges dark and heavy, its crust hard, its interior chewy with chaff, each loaf meant to last days, broken by hand or cut with a shared knife. Pottage is the other mainstay, a thick stew that simmers over your hearth, its ingredients drawn from whatever you can grow or scavenge. Barley or oats form the base, soaked and boiled to a mushy consistency, filling the hut with a warm, earthy scent. You add vegetables from your garden plot, cabbage, leeks, onions or turnips. Their flavours muted but vital, their roots or leaves pulled from the earth you tend between the Lord's demands. Herbs like parsley, thyme or wild nettles, foraged from field edges, add a faint savour, though spices like pepper or saffron are for the manor's kitchens. If you're fortunate, a handful of beans or peas, dried from last season, thickens the pot, their protein a rare boost. The pottage cooks slowly, stirred with a wooden spoon, its steam a comfort against the damp chill of your hut, though the fire's smoke stings your eyes and clings to your clothes. Preparing pottage is women's work, a task that falls to you or your kin after a day in the fields or tending livestock. You chop vegetables with a blunt knife, your hands rough from labour, and tend the fire, feeding it sticks or dried dung to keep it burning. The pot, clay and blackened from use, is heavy, its contents stirred to prevent burning, a task that demands patience as the day stretches on. The pottage is ladled into wooden bowls, shared with your family or fellow labourers, each spoonful a warm reprieve from hunger, though never enough to fill the ache in your belly. Leftovers, if any, are reheated the next day, stretched with more water or scraps, the pot rarely empty as it simmers through the week, its flavours blending into a familiar, if bland, sustenance. Ale is the third pillar, a safer drink than the village stream, which carries the taint of waste and disease. Brewed from barley, it's weak, cloudy and slightly sour, but it's a staple, sipped from a wooden cup at every meal. Brewing is another task often left to women, a process that begins with malting, soaking barley, letting it sprout, then drying it over a fire, the hut filling with a sweet, grainy smell. The malted grain is ground, mixed with water, and fermented with yeast saved from the last batch, a process that takes days and careful tending. The Lord's alehouse might supply some, but its cost is another tax, so you brew at home when you can, the ale stored in clay jugs, its surface skimming with foam. It's drunk young, its alcohol faint, but enough to dull the day's fatigue, its bitterness a familiar note against the grit of bread and pottage. The labour of securing these staples is relentless, tying you to the land and its cycles. The fields demand your strength from ploughing to harvesting, each season a gamble against frost, drought or flood. A failed crop means hunger, a memory sharp from years when the granary stood empty and children grew thin. The Lord takes his share first, grain for his table, barley for his ale, leaving you with what remains, often barely enough. The church claims tithes, another portion of your rye or barley, and the miller's fee cuts deeper, each demand a reminder of your place in the feudal order. Women bear the added burden of turning raw grain into food, their hands grinding, kneading, stirring, their days stretched from field to hearth, their labour unseen but essential. The village is a network of shared struggle, its people bound by the need to eat. Neighbours might lend a hand at harvest, expecting the same in return, or share a sack of grain when yours runs low, though such acts are weighed against survival. The miller, often a villager, holds power, his mill a necessity you can't avoid, his fee a grudge you carry. The bakehouse is a hub where women gather to knead and gossip, the heat of the oven a brief warmth against the damp, but the Lord's tax on its use stings. Men in the fields or barns, threshing or ploughing, trade stories of past harvests, their voices low to avoid the bailiff's ear. Children, when not helping, watch the pot or gather sticks for the fire, their hunger a mirror of yours, their small hands already rough from work. The sensory world of these staples is vivid, grounding you in this life. The air smells of turned earth in the fields, of yeast and smoke in the hut, of warm bread at the bakehouse. The fields are a patchwork of green and gold, their mud clinging to your feet, their stalks sharp against your hands. Sounds fill the day, the creak of the plough, the thud of flails, the crackle of the fire under the pottage pot. your clothes itch, their wool coarse, and your hands sting from cuts or burns, the pain sharp as you knead or grind. Hunger is a constant pull. The morning's bread and ale a fleeting memory by noon. The sky shifts from grey to gold, rain or sun dictating your work, the wind carrying the scent of grain or river mud. The fragility of this diet is ever present. A poor harvest can slash your rations, leaving you dizzy with hunger. Your children's faces gaunt. Disease lurks in the water you avoid, but even ale can sour, and spoiled grain brings illness. The Lord's demands, his share, his taxes, cut into your stores, and the church's tithes take more, each loss a threat to survival. You've seen families starve, their huts empty, their graves fresh in the churchyard. The labour of food is a cycle of hope and fear, each seed sown a prayer, each loaf baked a small triumph. As you stir the pottage or sip the ale, the sun climbing higher, you feel the weight of this life, its toil, its scarcity, its fleeting moments of sustenance. The day stretches on, and you move from field to hearth, your hands busy with sickle or spoon, your heart tethered to the hope of the next meal. The village hums around you, neighbours working, children playing, the church bell tolling, its rhythms tied to the same struggle. The staples of bread, pottage and ale are your lifeline, their simplicity, a shield against starvation, their preparation, a testament to your endurance. Whispers of a coming harvest, or fears of a lean winter, linger in the air, but for now you focus on the task at hand, the pot simmering, the bread cooling, each bite a step toward another day. Your life is one of labour and survival, a peasant in a world where food is both sustenance and sacrifice. Spring is a liminal season, a bridge between famine and hope. The fields stir with new growth, but your stores are at their lowest, the granary nearly empty, your pottage a thin gruel of last year's grain. Wild greens, nettles, dandelion or clover, are a lifeline, their bitter leaves boiled to soften, their nutrients a faint boost to your weakened frame. If you keep chickens, a rare egg might appear, its yolk a burst of richness shared with children first. The river, swollen with snowmelt, might yield a fish, though nets are mended with frayed cord, and time to fish is stolen from the Lord's tasks. Spring planting demands your energy, sowing seeds with a prayer for rain, your body lean from winter's hunger, your hands trembling as you work. The promise of summer's bounty is distant, and the fear of another lean year lingers, a weight in every step. Preservation is a craft born of necessity, a way to cheat winter's hunger. Drying is the most common method. Beans, peas or apple slices spread on mats in the sun, their texture tough but lasting. Smoking fish or meat, if you have it, fills the hut with a sharp, woody scent, the strips hung over the hearth to cure. Pickling is rare, as vinegar is costly, but some soak vegetables in brine, the taste sour but sustaining. Root cellars, small pits dug near the hut, keep cabbages or turnips cool, though damp can rot them, a loss that stings when hunger looms. Women lead this work, their knowledge passed through generations, their hands busy as they balance cooking, preserving and field tasks. The Lord's manor, with its vast stores, mocks your efforts. His granaries overflow, his cellars hold wine, while your scraps are rationed with care. The village is a web of shared survival, its people tied by the need to eat. Neighbours might trade a handful of beans for a leek, or share a fish caught in secret, but generosity is tempered by scarcity. Every gift is a debt to repay. Women gather at the river or bakehouse, their chatter a mix of recipes and worries, their hands busy with knives or querns. Men in the fields swap tales of good harvests, their camaraderie strained by competition for the Lord's favour or a better plot. Children, tasked with foraging or guarding crops, learn early to spot edible plants, their small hands deft but their hunger sharp. The elderly, if they survive, teach preservation tricks, how to dry nettles, when to pick sloes, though their frailty makes them a burden when food runs low. The community holds you together, but trust is fragile, each family guarding its stores against theft or desperation. The feudal system shapes what you eat, its demands a constant drain. The Lord claims the best of your harvest, grain, vegetables, livestock, leaving you with what's left, often too little. Tithes to the church take another share, a tenth of your rye or a chicken, the priest's sermons ringing hollow as his table groans with food, the miller's fee for grinding grain, the bakehouse tax for baking bread, the alehouse cost for extra brew, each cuts into your stores, forcing you to stretch every grain. Poaching in the Lord's forest or fishing his river risks punishment, a fine, a flogging, or worse, but hunger drives you to take the chance, your steps cautious, your heart pounding. The manor's feasts with roasted venison and white bread are a world apart, their excess a bitter contrast to your thin pottage. The sensory world is vivid, anchoring you in this cycle of feast and famine. The air smells of ripe grain in summer, of damp leaves in autumn, of smoke and snow in winter. The fields shimmer with green in spring, their mud sucking at your shoes, their edges sharp with thorns. Sounds hum through the seasons, the rustle of stalks at harvest, the crackle of a winter fire, the splash of a net in the river. Your clothes chafe, their wool heavy with damp, your hands raw from reaping or foraging. Hunger is a steady ache, the summer's pottage a memory by winter. The ale's warmth a fleeting comfort. The sky shifts, golden in summer, grey in winter, its moods dictating your fate, the wind carrying the scent of rain or frost. The midday sun casts a golden glow over the 14th century European village, its light warming the fields where you labour, a peasant bound to the land in 1350. Having prepared your simple meal of coarse bread, pottage and weak ale, you step into the rhythm of the seasons, where the earth's bounty, or its absence, dictates what fills your bowl. Beyond the village, the fields of rye and barley ripple under a fickle sky, their yield tied to the whims of weather and the Nile-like floods of local rivers. The air carries the scent of blooming wildflowers, the faint musk of hay drying in the sun, and the distant tang of river water. Your tunic or kirtle, patched and dusty, clings to your skin as you move between tasks, harvesting summer's crops or scavenging the forest's edge. In this world, food is a dance with nature's cycles, a balance of feasts in abundant months and famine in lean ones, where every season demands ingenuity to survive the ever-present threat of hunger. The seasons shape your diet, each turning of the year bringing its own gifts and challenges. Summer is the time of plenty, when fields and gardens burst with life. Your small plot, carved from the Lord's land, yields cabbage, leeks, onions and turnips, their roots pulled from the earth with your calloused hands. Peas and beans climb stakes near your hut, their pods a treasure you guard against pests. The village's communal fields, where you owe days of labour, produce rye, barley and oats, the grains that form your bread and pottage. Harvest is a frenzy. Your sickle cuts through stalks, your back bent under the sun, sweat stinging your eyes as you gather sheaves to thresh later. The air is alive with the buzz of insects, the rustle of grain, and the shouts of neighbours working their strips, their urgency a shared race against rain or rot. Foraged foods are summer's bonus, a supplement to your crops when the Lord's demands leave your stores thin. The forest, though claimed by the Lord, offers wild berries, blackberries, sloes or bilberries, their tart sweetness a rare delight, plucked with care to avoid thorns or the bailiff's eye. Mushrooms hide in damp clearings, their earthy flavour a risk worth taking, though some are poison, a lesson learned from a neighbour's fevered end. Nettles, dandelions and sorrel grow along paths, their leaves bitter but filling when boiled into pottage. The river yields reeds for seasoning or weaving, and occasionally a fish caught with a borrowed net, its flesh a treat shared sparingly. Foraging is a skill, taught by elders or learned through hunger, but it's fraught. Poaching on the Lord's land risks a fine or flogging, and the forest's bounty is never guaranteed. Autumn brings a shift, the fields golden but the air cooling, signalling the need to prepare for leaner times. The harvest, if good, fills your small granary, a wooden chest or sack in your hut, with grain to last the winter, though the Lord and Church take their shares first. Vegetables are pulled and stored in cool pits dug into the earth, their roots packed in straw to keep them from rot. Apples or pears from a communal orchard, if you're lucky, are dried or pressed into cider, a rare treat you sip on feast days. Preservation is key, a labour that falls to women who spend evenings slicing turnips or beans to dry in the sun, their hands stained with juice, their eyes burning from the hearth's smoke. Salt, costly and rare, preserves what little meat you might have. A pig slaughtered for the Lord's table might yield a scrap of bacon, its fat a treasure hoarded for winter pottage. Winter is the season of scarcity, when the fields lie fallow and hunger's grip tightens. Your stores dwindle, the granary's grain rationed to stretch through the cold months. Pottage becomes thinner, watered down with snowmelt, its ingredients limited to dried peas or beans, perhaps a shriveled onion, the flavour faint but warm. Bread, baked less often to save fuel, grows harder, its crust broken with effort, its grit wearing your teeth. Ale remains a constant, brewed in small batches, its warmth a shield against the chill, though the barley runs low by spring. The forest offers little now. Bare branches yield no berries, and mushrooms are scarce, forcing you to rely on what you've preserved or what the village might share. Hunger is a shadow, its presence sharper in years when the harvest was poor, the memory of starved neighbours a warning in every empty bowl. The fragility of this diet is a constant hum. A failed harvest, too common when rains drown or drought bakes the fields, leaves your granary empty, your children gaunt. Spoiled grain or rotted vegetables bring illness, and the river's water, though vital, carries disease. The Lord's taxes and the Church's tithes cut deep, each loss a step closer to starvation. You've seen families falter, their huts silent, their graves fresh in the churchyard. The seasons are both friend and foe, their bounty a hope, their scarcity a threat. As you gather berries or dry beans, the sun dipping low, you feel the weight of this life, its labour, its uncertainty, its fleeting moments of plenty. The day moves toward dusk, and you return to the village, a handful of leeks or a sack of grain in hand, the promise of pottage waiting. The fields fade behind you, their cycles a rhythm you can't escape, their yield a gamble you must play. The village hums, neighbours threshing, women stirring pots, the church bell tolling, its life tied to the same struggle. The seasons turn, each bringing its own fight, your diet a mirror of nature's whims. Summer's bounty, winter's hunger, spring's hope, all shape your table, your survival a testament to ingenuity in a world that offers little. For now, you focus on the harvest at hand, the pot simmering, each meal a step toward another day, a peasant in a land where food is both life and labour. Dusk settles over the 14th century European village, the sky softening to a muted gold as you return from the fields, your hands still gritty from reaping barley under the weight of the season's cycles. It's around 1350, and as a peasant your life revolves around the struggle to fill your belly, with bread, pottage and ale forming the core of your diet. Now, as you near your mud-brick hut, the faint scent of wood smoke and boiling herbs greets you, mingling with the distant low of livestock. The promise of food keeps you moving, but the staples of grain and vegetables are only part of the story. Meat, dairy, and rare treats like fruit or honey are delicacies, scarce and coveted, often reserved for the Lord's table or special days. These foods, eked out from small animals or risky ventures, offer fleeting moments of richness in a diet defined by scarcity, their presence shaped by the feudal order and the constant shadow of hunger. Meat is a rare luxury, its presence at your table a fleeting gift. Most peasants keep a pig or a few chickens, raised in the yard or even inside the hut, their snuffling or clucking a familiar sound. A pig, fed on kitchen scraps or acorns foraged from the forest's edge, is a prize, its slaughter a major event, often timed for late autumn to feed the Lord's manna first. You might keep a small cut, bacon or a scrap of pork, its fat carefully preserved to flavour pottage, each bite a burst of richness that lingers on your tongue. Chickens, valued for eggs, are rarely eaten. Their meat tough and stringy, saved for feast days like Christmas, or a saint's day when the Lord might grant a share. The act of slaughtering is quick, the blood drained for a rare pudding, the meat salted or smoked to last, a task women handle with practiced hands, their knives flashing in the dim light of the hut. Hunting or fishing offers another chance at meat, but it's fraught with risk. The Lord's forests teem with game, deer, rabbits or birds, but poaching is a crime, punished with fines, flogging or worse. Still, hunger drives you to set a snare or sling a stone, your heart pounding as you hide a rabbit in your cloak, its flesh a secret shared with family under cover of night. The river or stream might yield fish, eels or perch, caught with a net mended from old cord, but fishing takes time stolen from the Lord's fields, and his bailiff claims the best catch. Fish, when you get it, is a treat, its flaky flesh boiled or smoked, its bones picked clean to stretch the meal. Meat, whether pork, poultry or game, is a rarity, perhaps once a month if you're lucky, its savour a brief escape from the monotony of pottage. Dairy is equally scarce, its richness a contrast to the grain-heavy diet. If you keep a cow, a rare asset for a peasant, its milk is a treasure, drunk fresh or churned into butter or cheese. But cows are costly, their feed a strain on your small plot, and their milk often goes to the Lord's manor or is sold for coin to pay debts. A single cow might be shared by the village, its milk divided carefully, each drop measured. Cheese, made by boiling milk with rennet and pressing it into moulds, is a luxury, its sharp tang a treat saved for special days, its rind hard but edible when hunger presses. Butter, churned in a wooden pail, is even rarer, often traded rather than eaten, its creamy texture a dream for the Lord's bread, not yours. Goats or sheep, more common, give less milk, their cheese softer and gamier, but even this is rationed, a small wedge shared among many. Eggs are a delicate prize, each one a small miracle from your chickens. A hen might lay a dozen in a good month, but eggs are fragile, often claimed by the Lord or broken in the crowded hut. When you get one, it's boiled or stirred into pottage, its yolk a burst of flavour that children savour first. The act of collecting eggs is cautious, your hands gentle to avoid cracking the shells, their loss a blow when food is scarce. Dairy and eggs, like meat, are not daily fare, but treats, their presence tied to feast days or moments of luck, their absence a reminder of the Lord's claim on your resources. Fruit and honey are the rarest delicacies, their sweetness a fleeting joy. Apples, pears or plums grow in communal orchards, but the best are the Lord's, his bailiff quick to find those who pick without permission. You might gather fallen fruit, soft and bruised, drying it for winter or boiling it into a mush for pottage. Wild berries, blackberries or sloes dot the forest's edge, their tartness a prize worth the thorns, but foraging risks the Lord's wrath. Honey, harvested from wild hives or a rare beehive in the village, is a treasure, its golden sweetness spooned sparingly into ale or spread on bread for a saint's day. Sugar is unknown, a merchant's tale from distant lands, and honey's rarity makes it a gift for children or the sick, its taste a brief escape from hunger's grip. The feudal system casts a long shadow over these delicacies, ensuring they remain out of reach for most. The Lord's manor feasts on roasted venison, creamy cheeses and fruit tarts, its table groaning with what you produce but cannot keep. His hunters claim the forest's game, his fishermen the river's best catch, his orchards the ripest fruit. Your livestock, if you have any, is taxed, a piglet or a clutch of eggs owed as rent, leaving you with scraps. The church too demands its share, a wedge of cheese or a hen for tithes, its priests dining better than you despite their sermons on humility. The bailiff's watchful eye means every rabbit snared or fish caught risks punishment, forcing you to eat in secret, your heart racing as you share a morsel with your family. The village is a fragile web of survival, its people bound by the hope of these rare foods. Neighbours might barter a scrap of bacon for a leek, or share a fish caught in secret, but such acts are weighed against scarcity, every gift a debt to repay. Women, tasked with cooking and preserving, stretch these delicacies, their hands deft as they smoke meat or churn butter, their knowledge a lifeline. Men in the fields or forest trade tales of a good hunt or a hidden beehive, their voices low to avoid the bailiff. Children, sent to gather eggs or berries, learn early to navigate thorns or dodge the Lord's men, their small hands quick but their hunger sharp. The elderly, if they survive, recall feasts of their youth, their stories a faint spark in lean times. The sensory world of these foods is vivid, a contrast to the daily grind. The air carries the smoky scent of bacon curing over the hearth, the sharp tang of cheese in a clay pot, the sweet whiff of berries crushed underfoot. The livestock's lowing or clucking fills the yard, their warmth a comfort in the cold. Sounds hum, the crackle of a fire under a boiling pot, the soft thud of a knife slicing fruit, the rustle of a hen's feathers as you check for eggs. Your hands, rough from labour, feel the slick fat of pork or the fragile shell of an egg, each touch a moment of promise. Hunger gnaws, the staples of bread and pottage are constant, their monotony broken by the rare savour of meat or sweetness of honey, a fleeting lift to your weary spirit. The fragility of these delicacies underscores your life's precarity. A pig lost to disease, a hen that stops laying, or a failed orchard crop can erase these treats for months. Poaching risks punishment, and the Lord's taxes leave your stores bare. Disease lurks in spoiled meat or sour milk, a threat you can't afford. You've seen families go without, their faces gaunt, their children weakened by hunger. These rare foods are a gamble, their presence a brief joy, their absence a return to the grind of grain and greens. As you sit by the hearth, a scrap of pork sizzling or a berry staining your fingers, you feel the weight of this life, its scarcity, its risks, its fleeting moments of richness. The evening deepens, and you share a rare bite of cheese or a sip of honeyed ale, the village quieting around you. The fields and forest fade into shadow, their bounty a distant hope, their dangers ever present. The Lord's manor glows with torchlight, its feasts a world apart, but here, in your hut, a morsel of meat or a drop of honey is a triumph. The struggle for these delicacies binds you to your neighbours, your family, your land, each taste a reminder of survival's cost. For now, you savour the moment, the fire's warmth on your face, the taste lingering, a peasant in a world where every delicacy is a hard-won prize. The evening shadows deepen over the 14th century European village, the air cooling as you tend the hearth's flickering embers in your wattle and daub hut. It's around 1350, and as a peasant, your day has been consumed by the fields, the rare taste of meat or dairy, and the seasonal struggle to secure food. Now, within the smoky confines of your home, you focus on preparing the meal that will sustain your family, the scent of simmering oats and wood smoke filling the cramped space. Your hands, rough from labour, wield a worn knife or stir a clay pot, each movement a testament to the grueling work of turning meagre ingredients into sustenance. Food preparation, often women's domain, is a relentless task, its effort dwarfed only by the feudal divide that separates your sparse table from the Lord's lavish feasts. As you share a humble meal, the story of your diet, bread, pottage, ale, and rare delicacies, reveals a legacy of resilience, a quiet triumph over scarcity that echoes into the modern world, guiding us to a gentle close. Preparing food is as taxing as fieldwork, its demands centered on the hearth's fire and simple tools. The clay pot, blackened from years of use, holds pottage, a thick mix of barley, oats, or dried peas, bulked with cabbage or onions from your small garden. Chopping vegetables with a dull knife is slow, your hands aching from the day's sickle or plough, the blade's wooden handle worn smooth. Women bear this burden, rising before dawn to coax the fire with sticks or dried dung, the smoke stinging their eyes and settling in their lungs. Grinding grain for bread or pottage is another chore, done with a hand quern when the Lord's mill demands too high a fee. The stone's weight strains your arms, producing coarse rye or barley flour mixed with grit, collected in a wooden bowl as sweat beads on your brow, each turn a step towards survival. Baking bread is a separate labour, often at the village bakehouse to avoid the Lord's fine for using your own half. You carry dough, rye flour, water, and a pinch of saved yeast through muddy paths, your arms heavy with the load. The bakehouse hums with heat and women's voices, their hands kneading in rhythm, their chatter cautious under the bailiff's watch. The oven's clay dome glows, its heat a stark contrast to your hut's chill, and the bread emerges dark and dense, its crust tough, its interior chewy with chaff that grinds your teeth. Each loaf, meant to last days, is a small victory, its warmth a brief shield against the hunger that lingers like a shadow. Brewing ale, a safer drink than the tainted stream, requires careful skill. You malt barley, soaking, sprouting, and drying it over the fire, its sweet, grainy scent filling the hut. The malt is ground, mixed with water, and fermented with yeast from the last batch, a process that takes days of tending. The ale, weak and cloudy, is stored in clay jugs, its faint fizz a comfort. The stars emerge over the 14th century European village, their faint light piercing the twilight as you settle by the hearth's dying glow, the day's labour etched into your weary frame. It's around 1350, and as a peasant you've toiled through fields, foraged forests and stirred pots to secure the meagre meals that sustain you. Coarse bread, thin pottage, weak ale and rare morsels of meat or dairy. The air in your wattle and daub hut carries the lingering scent of boiled oats, the faint musk of damp straw and the distant whiff of livestock huddled nearby. Your hands, rough from grinding grain or wielding a sickle, rest now, the weight of survival ever present. The story of your diet, shaped by seasons, feudal demands and relentless effort, reveals a profound ingenuity, a knack for stretching scarce resources through clever foraging, careful preservation, and communal bonds. As we close this tale, we reflect on your resilience, a legacy that echoes in modern quests for sustainability, weaving a thread of endurance from your table to ours, guiding us to a quiet, contemplative end. Your diet was a delicate balance, a patchwork of what the land, the Lord, and your own cunning could provide. The staples, rye or barley bread, pottage thickened with leeks or beans, and cloudy ale were the foundation, but their simplicity belied the effort behind them. Fields yielded grain only after months of ploughing, sowing and reaping, each harvest a gamble against frost or flood. Your garden plot, a small patch carved from the Lord's estate, grew cabbage, onions or turnips, their roots pulled with care to avoid bruising, their leaves boiled to stretch a meal. Foraging added wild nettles, berries or mushrooms, each find a small triumph, though the Lord's forest was a dangerous place to wander, its game and fruits claimed by his bailiff. A pig, or a few chickens, if you could keep them, offered occasional meat or eggs, but their slaughter was often owed to the manor, leaving you with scraps. Preservation was your shield against winter's hunger, a craft honed through necessity. Drying was the simplest method, peas, beans or apple slices spread on mats in the summer sun, their texture tough but lasting. Women tasked with this work spent evenings slicing vegetables or fruit, their hands stained with juice, their eyes squinting in the hearth's smoke. Smoking meat or fish when you had it was another skill, strips hung over the fire to cure, the woody scent filling the hut. Salt, a rare commodity, was used sparingly to preserve a pig's fat or a fish's flesh, each pinch a treasure saved for lean months. Root cellars, shallow pits near the hut, kept turnips or cabbages cool, though damp could rot them, a loss that cut deep when hunger loomed. These methods, passed through generations, were a lifeline, turning summer's brief plenty into winter's survival. Foraging was a daring art, a way to cheat the feudal system's grip. The forest's edge held blackberries, sloes or hazelnuts, their flavours a rare joy, but picking them risked a fine or flogging if caught on the Lord's land. You learned to move quietly, your steps light, your basket hidden under a cloak. Mushrooms tucked in damp clearings were a prize, though their poison cousins taught caution, a neighbour's death a grim lesson. Nettles and dandelions plucked from paths added green to pottage, their bitterness softened by boiling. The river offered eels or perch, caught with a mended net in stolen moments, their flesh a treat shared in secret. Foraging demanded knowledge of seasons, plants, and the bailiff's rounds, your eyes sharp for edible leaves, your heart racing at every snapped twig. Communal bonds were a quiet strength, knitting the village through shared scarcity. Neighbours might trade a handful of peas for an onion or share a fish caught in secret, but generosity was measured, every gift a debt to repay when survival hung in the balance. Women gathered at the river, washing linen or pounding grain, their chatter weaving recipes and warnings, their voices low to avoid spies. Men in the fields swapped tales of a good harvest or a hidden beehive, their camaraderie strained by competition for a better plot. Children, sent to forage or guard crops, learned early to spot berries or dodge the Lord's men, their small hands deft but their hunger sharp. The elderly, rare and worn, shared tricks, like drying nettles or saving yeast, their stories a spark in lean times, though their frailty strained the family's stores. The feudal system was a relentless foe, its demands shaping every meal. The Lord claimed the best of your harvest, grain, vegetables, livestock, leaving you with scraps, often too little to last. Tithes to the church took another tenth, a chicken or a sack of rye, the priest's table heavy while he preached patience. The miller's fee, the bakehouse tax, the alehouse cost, each cut into your stores, forcing you to stretch every grain. Poaching or foraging on the Lord's land risked punishment, a fine that left you hungry, a flogging that scarred your back. The manor's feasts, with roasted venison and honeyed cakes, were a bitter contrast, their excess built on your labour, their tables a world you'd never reach. The bailiff's ledger tracked your debts, ensuring your hunger served the Lord's wealth. The sensory world of your diet was vivid, a tapestry of struggle and small joys. The air carried the scent of boiling pottage, its earthy warmth mixing with the sharp tang of smoke. The fields glowed green in summer, their mud clinging to your shoes, their thorns pricking your hands. Sounds filled the day, the creak of a plough, the splash of a net, the soft bubble of ale fermenting. Your woolen tunic chafed, your hands stung from cuts or burns, the pain sharp as you chopped or stirred. Hunger was a constant ache, the morning's bread a memory by dusk, the ale's faint fizz a fleeting comfort. The sky shifted, golden in harvest, grey in winter, its moods dictating your fate, the wind bearing the scent of rain or frost. The fragility of your life was ever present. A failed crop, too common when drought or flood struck, left your granary empty, your children gaunt. Spoiled grain or sour ale brought illness, fevers or fluxes that could kill. The Lord's taxes and tithes cut deep, each loss a step towards starvation. You've seen neighbours falter, their huts silent, their graves crowding the churchyard. Yet your ingenuity shone through, turning nettles into pottage, drying apples for winter, sharing a fish with a neighbour. These acts, small but deliberate, were a defiance of scarcity, a testament to your resilience in a world that offered little. Your legacy is one of endurance, a quiet force that shaped a civilization. The fields you sowed, the pottage you stirred, the ale you brewed fed a village, a manor, a kingdom, though history rarely speaks your name. The Lord's feasts and the church's wealth rested on your labour, your hunger a silent sacrifice for their glory. Your thrift, using every scrap, foraging every leaf, echoes in modern calls for sustainability, where we seek to honour the land as you did, stretching resources to feed many. The forests you braved, the rivers you fished, the hearths you tended are gone, their traces buried in the earth, but your resilience lives in the crops that still grow, the meals we share, the value we place on simplicity. Today, we eat with ease, refrigerators stocked, markets brimming, but your story reminds us of food's cost, its roots in labour and land. We strive for fairness, for systems that don't tax the poor to feed the rich, but your world lingers in those who still hunger, their tables sparse while others feast. Your diet, though humble, was a triumph, each meal a victory over scarcity, each bite a testament to your strength. We honour you, the nameless peasant, whose hands fed a nation, whose heart held firm against despair. Your legacy is in the grain you sowed, the pottage you shared, the life you carved from a harsh world. Dusk settles over the 14th century European village, the sky softening to a muted gold as you return from the fields, your hands still gritty from reaping barley under the weight of the season's cycles. It's around 1350, and as a peasant your life revolves around the struggle to fill your belly, with bread, pottage and ale forming the core of your diet. Now, as you near your mud-brick hut, the faint scent of wood smoke and boiling herbs greets you, mingling with the distant low of livestock. The promise of food keeps you moving, but the staples of grain and vegetables are only part of the story. Meat, dairy, and rare treats like fruit or honey are delicacies, scarce and coveted, often reserved for the Lord's table or special days. These foods, eked out from small animals or risky ventures, offer fleeting moments of richness in a diet defined by scarcity, their presence shaped by the feudal order and the constant shadow of hunger. Meat is a rare luxury, its presence at your table a fleeting gift. Most peasants keep a pig or a few chickens, raised in the yard or even inside the hut, their snuffling or clucking a familiar sound. A pig, fed on kitchen scraps or acorns foraged from the forest's edge, is a prize, its slaughter a major event, often timed for late autumn to feed the Lord's manna first. You might keep a small cut, bacon or a scrap of pork, its fat carefully preserved to flavour pottage, each bite a burst of richness that lingers on your tongue. Chickens, valued for eggs, are rarely eaten, their meat tough and stringy, saved for feast days like Christmas, or a saint's day when the Lord might grant a share. The act of slaughtering is quick, the blood drained for a rare pudding, the meat salted or smoked to last, a task women handle with practiced hands, their knives flashing in the dim light of the hut. Hunting or fishing offers another chance at meat, but it's fraught with risk. The Lord's forests teem with game, deer, rabbits or birds, but poaching is a crime, punished with fines, flogging or worse. Still, hunger drives you to set a snare or sling a stone, your heart pounding as you hide a rabbit in your cloak, its flesh a secret shared with family under cover of night. The river or stream might yield fish, eels or perch, caught with a net mended from old cord, but fishing takes time stolen from the Lord's fields, and his bailiff claims the best catch. Fish, when you get it, is a treat, its flaky flesh boiled or smoked, its bones picked clean to stretch the meal. Meat, whether pork, poultry or game, is a rarity, perhaps once a month if you're lucky, its savour a brief escape from the monotony of pottage. Dairy is equally scarce, its richness a contrast to the grain-heavy diet. If you keep a cow, a rare asset for a peasant, its milk is a treasure, drunk fresh or churned into butter or cheese. But cows are costly, their feed a strain on your small plot, and their milk often goes to the Lord's manor or is sold for coin to pay debts. A single cow might be shared by the village, its milk divided carefully, each drop measured. Cheese, made by boiling milk with rennet and pressing it into moulds, is a luxury, its sharp tang a treat saved for special days, its rind hard but edible when hunger presses. Butter, churned in a wooden pail, is even rarer, often traded rather than eaten, its creamy texture a dream for the Lord's bread, not yours. Goats or sheep, more common, give less milk, their cheese softer and gamier, but even this is rationed, a small wedge shared among many. Eggs are a delicate prize, each one a small miracle from your chickens. A hen might lay a dozen in a good month, but eggs are fragile, often claimed by the Lord or broken in the crowded hut. When you get one, it's boiled or stirred into pottage, its yolk a burst of flavour that children savour first. The act of collecting eggs is cautious, your hands gentle to avoid cracking the shells, their loss a blow when food is scarce. Dairy and eggs, like meat, are not daily fare, but treats, their presence tied to feast days or moments of luck, their absence a reminder of the Lord's claim on your resources. As the night deepens, the village grows still, the hearth's embers cooling, the air soft with the scent of straw and river mud. The manor's lights fade, the church bells silent, the fields dark under a starlit sky. Your diet, bread, pottage, ale, a rare taste of honey, was a fragile thread woven through seasons of feast and famine, its simplicity a shield against hunger's pull. The struggles of your table, the ingenuity of your hands, the resilience of your spirit, endure in every meal we eat, every crop we grow. Let the weight of your toil lift now, your story told, your legacy a quiet flame that lights the way. Rest in the peace of a life well fought, a peasant's table that fed a world, its echoes carrying us gently into the stillness of the night.